Hi, I'm Shane Rink. I'm a marketing recruiter with Celarity. Today, we're going to be talking about whether or not it makes sense to learn a special skill or go back to school. It's hard to say whether or not learning a special skill is best or going back to school. It really depends on what your goals are. So for example, in some instances, a lot of our clients that we place our candidates out with require a bachelor's degree in some type of discipline. It doesn't necessarily have to be marketing or creative or digital, but some type of bachelor's. Other organizations that we place candidates for don't require it. So there's really no downside to learning a special skill. So you might be wondering, what are special skills? Special skills are things like certifications. It doesn't even necessarily have to be a formal certification, but just proficiency in a certain software tool or ability to create or build something from scratch or go off of templates. One example is HTML. If you are proficient in HTML, that's an invaluable skill that a lot of employers are seeking in our candidates. A lot of times, though, employers are going to want to see that you've applied that skill in a work environment. It's always good to have some type of demos or examples or even a portfolio to show that you're proficient in those skills. I actually have a candidate story of a person by the name of Martin. We'll say his name is Martin. In his current role, identified a need to make some updates and some changes to his employer's website. In order to make those changes, though, you need proficiency in HTML. Martin didn't have that proficiency or background, neither did any of his peers really, and it wasn't really accessible for him to get that training on the job. Martin actually took it upon himself to teach himself through a variety of YouTube videos and online tutorials to become proficient on it. He showed his boss what he was capable of, and he got the green light to go ahead and make those changes within the organization. It was a huge win for him because that's him going above and beyond his job. In his next endeavor, he's going to be able to highlight that as something that's particularly appealing to the next hiring manager that looks at his background and resume. The best advice I can give someone who is at that crossroads where they're debating, do I learn a special skill or do I go back to school, is first sit down and just take an inventory of what special skills you already have. You may have more than you actually realize. So give yourself the benefit of the doubt and think through and brainstorm some of the things that you already have and what you can build off of. I've heard a lot of demand for certain software tools like Eloqua, HubSpot, Salesforce, HTML. A lot of things like that keep coming up, but the best thing you can do is really keep your fingers on the pulse of what's happening in the industry, because those things will constantly change. What's hot and what's being used now may be different 5 years from now. Yeah, and you can find that information too by just going on LinkedIn and seeing job postings and seeing what's in demand. And you can easily identify the trends when you start seeing that same tool or that same software being mentioned over and over again. And then there's also the opportunity to just network with people who are in the field. If you know anybody who's in the industry that you want to be in, just having coffee with them, talking to them, and just picking their brains. So it's really a situation where you have to kind of be vigilant and proactive, and you'll start to pick up on the trends and you'll hear what the new, best, most up-to-date tools and software skills are to have. So I know I gave you a lot to think about, and there's not necessarily black and white answers, a lot of gray in there. But my message to you would be take some time, sit down and reflect, have a notebook, write things out, write out your thoughts. Again, do that research, do those informational interviews with recruiters or marketing managers or people who are in the field or the industry that you want to get into, and then just start from there and just take it one step at a time. You don't have to climb the mountain all in one big step, just put one foot in front of the other. But feel free to reach out to us here at Celarity if you want any added insights.